sola mi fa ramire, la sol mi fa sol la città.
Leonardo was the most dynamic show, covering the life of a man who was not only a master artist, an inventor hundreds of years ahead of his time, but a musician, composer, biologist, botanist, and a precise innovator in a dozen other fields of study. It is also perhaps the most comical of all the shows. What is so wonderful about this show is that it inspires the students to explore their own diverse interests to eventually discover their true vocation.
The events of my life are my thoughts. The natural desire of good people is knowledge. Those who would like to practice a profession without understanding its science, they are like a captain who goes up into a ship without a rudder or a compass and never has any certainty of where he is going. There's no certainty in science where mathematics, where numbers cannot be applied. Now, an artist must be a solitaire. That means they must be alone. When you're alone, you belong entirely to yourself. But when you're accompanied by even one other person, belong only half to yourself, or even less, depending upon the thoughtlessness of your companion's conduct. Now, a good painter must be able to paint two main things: humanity and the workings of humans' minds. Now, the first is easy, but the second is very, very difficult. For the only way to show how a person is thinking is through their gestures, through the movements of their arms and their legs. No painter should be praised unless he or she is a universal. That means they speak to all of us through their hearts as much as their paintbrushes. Now, Lupe, you hold on very tightly, okay? Because you know what? You are holding my life in your hands. No kidding. You got it, okay? You can't let go, dear. Don't let go. Even if you start going up in the air, don't let go, okay? Especially if you start going up in the air, don't let go. All right, you got it? Okay, squeeze tightly. Okay, and use your feet too if you have to. Okay, there you go. There you go. I'm giving you all the way, Lupe. Lupe is holding 200 pounds in her bare hands.
Oh my God.
Now, Lupe, do you think you can pull that rope down towards the floor to lift me up? Give it a try. Pull down with all your might. That's right. Keep going. Get right. You got it. You got it. You got it. You need a little help? I'll give you a little bit of help, okay? There you go. Now, that's right. Hand over head. Another hand. That's right. You've had driver's ed? Okay. Let's go for it. Go. Go. Pull. You learn this in driver's ed. One hand and the other hand. Yeah, the other hand above. Now, come on. Keep going. One hand, the other hand. Yeah, climbing up the rope. There. Pull. That's right. And one hand, one hand. That's right, Lupe, you're doing great. Keep going, girl. You're lifting 200 pounds. She is lifting 200 pounds with her bare hands. Keep going, Lupe, that's right. Okay, keep going, girl. All right, thank you very much. That's enough. Okay. I got it now, Lupe. You can go back to your seat. Excellent job. Now, some of you probably watching this are probably saying to yourselves, oh, yeah, right. Lupe, Leonardo, they worked this out ahead of time. They played some kind of trick on us. Would you like to see what would have happened had Lupe let go? What? Are you sadistic or something? All right. I will show you just a little bit, okay? If Lupe had let go of this rope, this is what would happen to me. I would have fallen out of the air and gone splat on the floor, and this program would have been over very early, and you would all have to return to your classes. So Lupe, she has saved the show, saved my second life, so I can talk to you about my first life. Now up here on this chart you will see that with 2 wheels in the top block and 2 wheels in the bottom block, Lupe was able to hold up 200 pounds with just 50 pounds. What's the matter? Something wrong with my chart? Oh, I know. Maybe you have trouble reading backwards. Some people, they say, I wrote this way because I'm crazy, man. Some other people, they say, oh, he wrote this way because he's trying to hide his knowledge. No, very simple explanation. It's because I was left-handed. How many of you here are left-handed? Oh, yeah, so you know what I'm talking about, right? We have to educate the right-handed people. Left-handed people, it's not easy to write from left to right. Easy, left-handed people. No, not at all. Because you end up smearing the ink with your hand, and you make a big mess on your paper, and a big mess on your hand as well. And it's against the rules of how to use a writing instrument. You end up pushing the ink in front of the writing instrument instead of pulling it out behind, which is totally incorrect for the writing instrument because it forces you to dig big ditches in the paper with the point of your pen. And also, you can't even see what you just wrote. It's underneath your hand as you're writing, right? You can't even see if you made a spelling mistake. And don't tell me to write like this. That is ergonomically incorrect. It's bad for the bones and the muscles of your wrist. If you folks think carpal tunnel syndrome is a bad thing today, just imagine all the left-handed people for centuries walking around like this saying, oh yeah, my teacher told me I had to write this way. So, if you learn nothing from me here today, learn one thing: always follow nature. All of a sudden, the leader of the group, the teacher, announces at a Passover feast, at a Seder. That's right, they're all Jewish. He announces that one of them is a dirty, rotten snitch! And it's this guy right here! But nobody knows who the traitor is except for the traitor himself and the teacher. So everyone else is really upset. How could there be a traitor in our group? I don't get it! Me neither! All of a sudden, the teacher announces that the person who is the traitor is the one who just dipped his fingers in the finger bowl to wash his hands at the table at the same time the teacher did. So there you see Judas pulling his hand back saying, what? I didn't touch any finger bowl. See, my fingers are dry. So it's a very dramatic moment. How do you like it? Aren't they doing a great job recreating the painting, huh? Pictures? Ah, yes, okay. Hi. Dustin, you're my volunteer. Do you know what dissection is? It's when you cut up somebody's body to see how it's put together, right? And you're my volunteer. Dustin, you're either very brave or not feeling so well today. Now, don't worry, I don't hurt animals in order to dissect them. I'm not going to hurt you, right? How long before you die, Dustin? Maybe 100 years or more, right? We don't have that kind of time here today, so we're going to have to pretend that Dustin is already dead. So we're going to get rigor mortis to set in. Don't fall on the floor, okay? We're going to give you somebody else's skin to put on. Don't worry, we cleaned out this skin about 2 weeks ago. Shouldn't smell too bad. Okay, and then you're going to put this right in there. That's right. Very good, and that arm in there. That's good. Okay, good, Dustin. That's excellent, excellent. Okay. Oh, look at this. Dustin has suddenly become a marsupial. Just kidding, Dustin. It's just the way it looks, okay? All right. Now, before I came along, they used to do dissection in a very piecemeal way. They used to cut into somebody's dead body like Dustin's here. They'd cut across the shoulder like this. They'd reach inside. They'd pull out whatever they found inside of there, and they'd let it just hang out of the body. They'd say, oh, yeah, that's where you find Dustin's deltoid muscle. Then they cut across his rib cage over here. They'd reach inside those ribs, and they'd pull out some big spongy thing in there and say, oh, yeah, that's Dustin's lung. Then they cut across over here, and this big muscle thing would pop out. They cut across over here, and this reddish-brown thing would flop out. And they cut across over here, and this big, long thing would roll out on the floor, 26, 27 feet long. Dustin's intestine. Now, this was very messy and not very scientific. You knew where to find things in Dustin's body, but you had no idea how they were put together inside of him or how they worked together. So I decided to do dissection a totally new way, one system at a time. This meant I had to cut up 23 different bodies in order to finish my book on anatomy, including a pregnant woman who died before she gave birth. So we had our first pictures of what we looked like when we were inside of our mothers. Now with Dustin here, let's take a look at his muscle system, like this page out of my notebooks. In order to look at his muscle system, we're going to have to peel away some of his skin system and his nerve system and his blood system because they cover over his muscles, okay? Very carefully here, all right, okay. Holy smokes, look at Dustin's muscles. Oh, man, he looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Woo, look at this guy. Are you governor of California now? Oh, man, that's great. Okay, backside here. Oh, my goodness, look at this. He looks like some kind of incredible Hulk, right? Yeah, look at that guy, whoa. All right, nice going, Dustin. That's very good. You must have been working out, huh, buddy? Too bad you're dead. Now, after we finish looking at all of his muscle system, we can throw them back into his coffin. If we're very careful, we may be able to find one other undisturbed system. Let's look for Dustin's bone system. Okay, so look at his bone system. We're going to have to throw out the rest of his blood system and his nerve system, all of his digestive system and his breathing system. And we're going to be able to look at each single bone, exactly the way it is shaped and exactly the way it's put together. So we can imagine how Dustin's bone system is put together like the framework of a building. And if we study how his bone system moves, one bone against the other, we can imagine how Dustin's bone system works like a piece of machinery, right? Whoa, it got stiff. Where's that oil can? All right, so anyhow, that's where we can check it out, okay? Now, after we've done studying his bone system, we can throw all of his bones back into his coffin. What's left of Dustin after that, huh? Nothing but his spirit. And we can fly back to his seat and not worry about this crazy man embarrassing him anymore. Thank you very much, Dustin. Very good job. Okay. I also invented this wheel lock for firing gunpowder, but you don't use this for firing gunpowder anymore. This is now used as a lighter. Here where the sparks are made by rubbing the flint up against this iron wheel. Here is the spring that powers it. Do any of you recognize this part right here? What does this look like? Does that look like a chain link to anybody? Do you know I invented all kinds of chain drives? Do you have a chain drive like this at home by any chance? Do you have the thing that goes with it? Do you know I invented the first rear-wheel drive, chain-driven bicycle 500 years ago? But you didn't have a bicycle that looked anything like this until what? About 170 years ago. What took your ancestors so long? I'd already drawn this picture in my notebooks. You know what took them so long? Nobody read my notebooks. That's right. I gave all my notebooks at the end of my life to my chief apprentice, Francesco Melzi, with instructions on how to get them printed into books. He didn't get the job done. He just locked them up in his, he just brought them back with him to Milano and left them up in his attic in big piles collecting dust. When he died, his children gave them away to anyone who came along asking for one, so they were scattered throughout all of Europe. And the people who collected them, they said, "Oh boy, look at this, a Leonardo da Vinci notebook." Written backwards and in Italian, with 5 different subjects on every page. What a wonderful collector's item! So they didn't read them or translate them or get them printed into books. They just locked them up in their vaults and in their libraries and left them there. Students' knowledge which is not shared is often lost, sometimes forever. Because my notebooks were not published until hundreds of years after my death, almost all of my inventions had to be reinvented. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 years later. All of these from pastels to wind tunnels. And all of these as well. Some of you will probably look at this list saying, "Oh, poor Leonardo, he didn't get credit. I didn't care, I was already dead." But you know who this was really bad for? You. You and your ancestors. Because if people had just read my notebooks, you might have had all of these inventions hundreds of years earlier. I was this close to inventing the steam engine. I was already testing the power of steam to push a piston up and down inside of a cylinder jacket. I'd already invented a gun that could fire a projectile 2 miles using steam power alone. If somebody had just read this in my notebooks, you might have had the invention of your steam engine in the early 1500s instead of the late early 1800s. You might have had your Industrial Revolution 300 years earlier. Where would your technology be today if it was 300 years further ahead?